Hey, everybody, GameHounds podcast. We are Nick and Edie, and we are just getting ourselves ready with a little bit of the beginning of the show, the pre-show show, getting our stuff together. We are still just us. No Andrew. Sorry, guys.
Still riding the rails.
Yeah. No brains this week, just us. Just the face and the voice.
I mean, I think I'm the face and the brains.
Nah, you would.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just saw the puppy go by over here. Apologies if we go into the wide shot and you see like what looks like a floor that has been completely destroyed. The puppy has hit the destructive age. She is now 5.5 months ish, and she is destroying everything. Absolutely everything. If she is not peeing on it, she is tearing it apart. I've never had a dog that has been this difficult to housebreak. She's a lot of fun, but man, she's just socks. Oh my God. Destroyed so many pairs of socks in this house. Because I don't know how she does it. She gets into my laundry. It's in a basket that's like 3.5 feet tall. And you see her, she's just a little bit of a thing. But she gets into that thing somehow, some way. I got to figure out how. And like, I'm finding things in the middle of the floor that's like, what is this? I've never seen this before. I think she's sneaking out and going to the neighbor's house, stealing their socks and bringing it back.
So do you not recognize the socks that she gets?
I generally speaking recognize the socks, but like just random stuff in the middle of the floor. I working, get up, look, and there's something in the middle of the floor that I don't recognize. And I go to Kevin, I'm like, do you know what this is? It's like, nope. Like, don't know what it is. Puppies. That's what they do.
They materialize socks.
Yep. Got AC Wraith in the house. Hey, how you doing? We got a Blood Reaper in the house. How you doing? Bitters here. Nick is drinking his gallon of coffee.
Yes. Well, this is left over from this morning still. So there's only half of it in there.
Oh, okay. So the natural enemy of dryers? What? Dogs? I wouldn't say that. I would say cats are the natural enemy of dryers. Oh, so many people have killed their cats.
Oh, in a dryer.
In a dryer.
I thought you meant like being on top of it, because I saw a video of a cat riding a dryer, just enjoying it.
Oh, yeah. And those are the smart ones. The real dumb ones go in the dryer, and then somebody loads the laundry on top of them and starts the dryer.
How do you not realize that you're throwing laundry on a cat?
It's dark in there. Dark. Do you ever really look in do you look in a dryer before you throw something in it? Like completely look in a dryer, like down deep?
No.
You just open it up. You see no laundry in there. You throw the laundry in.
But I expect the cat would have some sort of reaction. Like you throw in a little bit, you go back to pick up more, and then you throw that in.
Some people just load the whole thing in and close the door and start it. Or AC Ray said, or is it the dryers materialize one sock of a pair? Yeah, she's kind of like that. She's materializing one sock.
She's working with the sock gnomes or the underpants gnomes.
Underpants gnomes. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there you go. Retro Rents Al says, yeah, I do the giant pile method.
How much
pile it in, you close the door, you turn it on, and you hit start.
But the thing is, going from the washer to the dryer, I have too many things to do in one go. I have to do it in like handfuls. How small of a load are you washing that you can do it all at once?
Blood Reaper said, did you guys see the video of the Resident Evil village I put in Discord? Yes, I did.
Was that the Teletubbies one?
Is it the Teletubbies one or the one that's like that as looks like it's moving? Let me pull up my Discord and we will show it to you. I'm gonna do it this way. I have to
Was
do
it in
this
general
anyway.
or news tips? If it was
I
in
think it was
general,
in general.
okay, I probably didn't see it then. If it was a new thing.
Let's see, where is it?
Oh yeah, he did it this morning. It looks like.
Oh, I didn't see the one this morning. Where's the one? Was it News Tips? The one where it actually had it was actually moving. It was like a video, but it was if you show it with your phone. Um, where was it? Was it Game Deals?
Is it spanking the big lady? It's a GameSpot video.
Oh, there we go. It was Andrew that posted that when it was under
Mhm.
memes. Here, I'll share this so that you can see it. Is that not cool?
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that was real.
I wish it was too.
But yeah, no, it was someone with a fly swatter. It seems like, and they're running up to Lady D. I don't know
Mhm.
how to say her last name. Just spanking her.
Was it Dimitrescu?
Yeah, Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu.
And I still haven't played it yet, so I don't know exactly. Holy shit, she's got claws.
Which channel is it in?
A general at the very bottom, most recent. Okay, now I understand why people are laughing about Ethan Winter's hands.
Really?
So, it's a first-person game, and so they show a lot of the damage that you take by showing your hands,
Uh-huh.
and his hands get so fucked up. But then he pours a little healing thing on them, and they're fine. I saw there's one good video of him getting his hand cut off and then taking it, putting it on, or like putting the herb magic potion on, putting the hand stump on, looking up, and then looking down and being like, "Okay, I'm good now." The magic potions.
All right. So,
Oh, and Retro says I got him hooked on Curious Expedition 2. Yeah,
oh, he
that
says
is a
what a
great little game.
great little game. Good. I'm glad that we served a purpose here.
Hmm.
So, I gotta get this show on the road, literally and figuratively. I need to. It is a slow day. I mean, it already feels like a slow day, and we haven't even started. It's the day that's not nearly as fun without Andrew. Not gonna
Okay.
lie.
Why did the Invisible Man refuse the job offer?
Why?
I don't know. I have to wait for Goalie to answer.
Oh, oh no.
He didn't see it coming? No. They.
He didn't see himself doing the job.
Okay.
He's such a dork. Golly, my God, you're a dork. All right. I gotta get myself signed into here. I'm sorry that I didn't do this earlier. I did, and then I had a little bit of a computer issue and had to restart everything. All right. So just need to drop an image.
What are you watching?
Oh, it auto played the next thing after that
Oh, okay.
thing. So yeah, that's annoying. As I muted the first one and then it just doesn't mute the second one. It's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just mute everything? But no. All right. So are you ready to do this show?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go live.
And these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and you're home.
One of these days I've got to fix this so it's not quite so ghetto. All right, mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 594. We are recording this on Sunday, May 16th, 2021. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola. We do not have an Andrew this week. Sorry. Won't have one for another week as well. So it's just Nick and me. And
Yep.
we are bringing it. So how's things with you, Nick?
Good. I got the second vaccination shot just this morning.
Really?
So, yep.
So 2 more weeks. Oh, by the way, 12 hours. So what time did you get that vaccination?
11:30.
Okay, 11:30 tonight. That's when it's going to start. If you're going to have I don't know if I want to call them side effects because it's a good thing that you have them. It's the right effects. The right effects that you'll have are going to be right about 12 hours. You'll start noticing something. So
Okay.
are you taking tomorrow off of work?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because you might feel pretty awful. I felt not great. My boss had all the symptoms, all of them. So,
Part of me wants to think I'm young, I'm healthy, my immune system is probably really good. I'll probably have really bad effects from it has to fight it off. But then part of me remembers, the PAX plague fucks me up every single year. My immune system ain't shit.
no, your
So,
immune system is good. That's
I don't know.
Having a good immune system gives you the symptoms. It's not the virus doesn't give you the symptoms. Your immune system gives you the symptoms.
Okay, well then maybe I should expect the worst.
Expect the worst. Yeah, PAX plague really does. And the only time
every year
I've
too.
never had the only time I've ever had the PAX plague was the year I brought the plague and gave it to you.
Yeah.
And I made you so sick. I'm so sorry.
And it only started happening in the past 5 years. And all the other times I went to PAX before then, I was fine. But past 5 years, every single time I went, got a plague.
So we have Vice in the chat room. We have Retro Rents Al in the chat room. We have AC Wraith, of course, who provides all the links. By the way, that's the link from what we were watching before the show. We have who else? We have Blood Reaper in the channel. We have Bitters in the channel. How you guys doing? Yeah, in fact, we did have Gully here for a minute. He went to go get some food, but he'll be back. But he wanted to let us know, I hate you guys. And then he said, sometimes just some of you.
Yeah, important caveat.
And when we say some of you, he means Nick.
I earned that. I hate you too. I hate you too.
You really do hate each other in the most wonderful way. So, what you been playing?
Mainly just more Subnautica.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's neat because I feel myself kind of I can see the end game because I've sort of found a blueprint for what could be an escape rocket. And I've managed to find I've managed to like build all of the vehicles I can, and I've sort of constructed a deep sea base that I know is close by one of the a location deep under the sea that I know I need to get to. I need to find a way there, and I just need to find it. And so I'm managing to like rule the sea. Not so much rule the sea because there was I was in a volcanic area the other night, and I'm in there with like a sort of a mech suit, and I'm walking along, jetting up, and then all of a sudden I see this giant like the back of it is the tentacles of a squid. The front of it has the arms like Godzilla,
Oh,
with a
wow.
giant mouth, and I'm like, nope. I believe that one might be the Sea Emperor.
That mean what might be the what?
The Sea Emperor.
Okay.
Um,
The dreaded Sea Emperor.
yes, I've heard about him, especially on like a lot of the walkthroughs that I've looked at. But I haven't met him until now. So
So is
yeah,
this a single player game? Does it allow for multiplayer, like two people working on in a base like this?
I don't think so. I think
Oh,
it's
this would
only
be so
single
good for
player.
that.
I don't know. I really like that it's just single player. I don't know. I find the whole thing, like I said, getting over the hump in the beginning, the really directionless hump in the beginning is tough. But now that I've gotten far enough to, I know what resources there are. When I find a blueprint and I look at it and I see, okay, this is what I need. I need titanium, a ruby, and like aerogel. Okay, I know how to make all those. I know where to get the materials for all those. And so now I'm able to kind of set goals for myself. I want to create an undersea base. I want to create not just an undersea base, I want to create a base like in the volcanic region. And so I know, okay, these are the base pieces that I want to build. I'm going to need, a thermal generator. I'm going to need like an air pump. And I know what the materials are for those. And so I know then it becomes a matter of getting the logistics right. Of I need to find a vehicle that has enough depth that it can go down to that area. I need to find a good location to build it, and it's a lot of that. Once I know what to do, it becomes fun because I'm able to actually set goals and objectives. Because the game certainly doesn't do that for you. And as someone who likes goals and objectives, I found that very frustrating. But now that I'm able to make them for myself, I find the whole thing a lot more enjoyable and even peaceful and relaxing. Kind of, for as much as it is kind of terrifying. Oh yeah, there's that dude. That it is, seeing the random sea emperor is like, holy shit. There's a fun in exploring these unknown lands. And I have not been to this location, but I think this is the exact location that I'm trying to get to.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have not seen that sort of giant lava ocean. I've just been in an area of heavy volcanic activity.
Yeah, that looks really cool. So, I'm very tempted to start playing this. What are you playing it on?
PlayStation.
Okay.
And I know the sequel, called Subnautica Below Zero, just came out on the 14th, which I think is also the day that Subnautica came to Switch. So if you have a Switch, like, it's Subnautica Day practically. But from the reviews that I read of it, it sounds like the world is a lot smaller, but it's also a lot denser. So that might be a good one to start with, just because, it's I do spend a lot of time, especially in the beginning, just swimming out, collecting stuff, swimming back. And so that's what I said. It was a good game to play while talking to friends, on Skype and Discord and stuff, and a good game to play while listening to a podcast because there's so much downtime.
Mm-hmm. But that goes away. From the looks of it, it goes away rather
kind of. Like I still listen to
quickly.
podcasts while doing it. Because there's still a lot of, the logistical planning of things is sort of calming in downtime. Or like what happened to me the other night is I took a big submarine out into the ocean. I had a prawn suit in it, and I sort of dropped myself down into the entrance to what would be that lava cave. But what I didn't realize is that I hadn't fully turned off the submarine. And so when I sort of climbed my way back out and went to the sub, the whole thing was powered down. And I was like, shit, it is completely out of energy. It's just a floating rock at this point. And so what I had to do then is I took all of the power cells out of the engine, took them back to my main base in like the safe shallow area where you start. And I then spent a lot of the night getting the materials to build power cell rechargers. And then I dumped all my power cells in there, recharged them, and I ended just getting ready to go back, repower up the submarine so that I can then focus on trying to better create that deep sea volcanic base like this guy has made.
Got it.
So yeah, that's kind of fun things of you get into the submarine, all the lights are off, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then I get up, I try to power on the engine, and it's like, nope, emergency powers. There's not even any oxygen generation. So it's like, oh, shit.
So EC Ray says the Subnautica Below Zero. He says the story takes place in the same universe, but you're a different person, so it might not be too spoilery.
Yeah, and I don't know if it takes place. I think it takes place on the same planet, but obviously it would take place in an Arctic region. But what is kind of fun is one of the big things that you kind of end up doing is exploring the wreckage of your huge colony ship. Maybe it's not a colony ship, like the cruise ship, the big ass ship that crashes. You can explore it, and that's how you find a lot of really important blueprints and stuff. And as you explore it, as I was exploring that, I found a bunch of PDAs of the crew and the people there, and I sort of came to the realization that, oh man, this universe is a corporate dystopia because so much of it is like one of the PDAs I found is like a guy breaking up with his girlfriend, but doing it in this very business way of like, I think we just need different contracts. I would like to form a new contract with you that minimizes our companionship, that minimizes our time together. It's like, oh, okay, how much would you like the new time? What would you agree on? Preferably 0. Wait, what? It's like, yes. I would like to spend 0 time with you in our renewed contract. And it's like, so much of it, what you realize is like the history of this world, the corporation that like owns the ship that crashed is sort of this big corporation. And one of the things they have is like, oh, we're a corporation, so we don't have to treat our employees like citizens. We choose to treat them nicely, but we don't have to. And it's very important that we don't have to. Okay, I think this is like super end game stuff, so
I'm removing it.
But yeah, it's interesting to learn like, oh man, this Earth in this world is kind of a shitty place.
Got it. So, Subnautica. Yeah, I'll probably pick that up this weekend.
Yeah.
What else did you do? I think you and I played the only game that I played this week.
Yeah, it was just
Other than
Subnautica.
me chasing the puppy down and keeping her from destroying things that are actually valuable.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this week I spent a lot of time. I feel like the rest of the media world woke up because Netflix dumped a lot of stuff. There's like there were at a certain point there were 5 movies in a theater that I wanted to go see.
Oh, really?
Thankfully, some of them were streaming, and so I was able to see that way. But it's like, okay, I've got to make a list of like how to see all this stuff that I want to.
Yeah, I'm watching a lot of anime. Of course, I'm waiting patiently for the next episode of Fruits Basket and for Log Horizon
I thought
to be
Fruits
released.
Baskets was finished.
No, it's not finished. It's being released 1 episode a week for their last season.
Oh, yeah, I thought that final season had already completed.
Nope.
Okay.
And been kind of dabbling in other stuff. What's the one I'm watching now about anime? I have to look it up. Egg Priority.
I will say
Wonder Egg Priority, which is a weird ass show.
I've heard that it's weird. I also heard that it's really dark.
Dark. Very, very dark. It is an anime about let me write it out so I've got a banner here because I was not thinking about actually talking about it. It is an anime about girls, adolescent girls, so 13 to 14 years old, that are it's kind of weird. There's a couple of, I don't want to call them guys, but they're entities that have kind of noticed them. They've got their own adolescent things going on, either being bullied or a unfortunate family life, or they've all got secrets that have made them very sad. One of them is a cutter. So not happy 14-year-old girls. And these entities draw them in to collect eggs from a gacha machine. And these eggs, when they sleep, they launch into avatars in their dreams, avatars of girls who have committed suicide. And they are tasked to save them from the things that are trying to destroy them in that dream world. And they're kind of the heroes, the protectors of these spirits, so to speak, these avatars. I don't want to call them spirits because that makes them sound ghostly. They're not ghostly. They're kind of avatars of these girls. And yeah, it's weird and exceptionally dark. Does not pull any punches about the strains that young girls go through, not just from other girls, but from boys, from adult men. If you have any issues with suicide, if these are triggers for you, suicide, cutting, sexual molestation, then this is definitely not the show for you. But it brings these girls together and they kind of become their own support group, working through their various troubles, because all of them are kind of outsiders and outcasts. They don't really have anyone to talk to. And now through this egg thing and this kind of secret world that they have, that when they sleep, they go into this world and are defenders, so to speak, that they form a friendship. And when they're awake, they're friends and kind of working through their issues. So one of them even says, "We're having group therapy session here." But I'm interested to know where it's going to go. It's
Okay.
definitely not a kids anime. I would almost say this is a graphic novel. It's definitely not for kids, or if it's for kids, it's really a grown-up kids.
I saw it on Funimation. It is rated TVMA.
Yeah, it is definitely TVMA. Not a lot of like gratuitous sexual stuff, but a lot of comments, a lot of issues touching on molestation and girls' psyches. It ain't kid stuff. So,
Okay.
but it's really, really good, and I'm enjoying it. And the animation on this is so good. In sometimes I think that they actually interpose the animation with live action video. So it's kind of melding it sometimes, but it is really good. So, yeah.
That's good to know. I'll have to put that on my list.
It's the way that's just the
Things to
genre is
watch.
described is psychological horror and fantasy. And I would say, yeah, that's probably pretty good.
Okay, that sounds right up my alley.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been doing anime, really. Yeah, EC Ray says book. It is cool. It's from the minute you start, you go, this is a very different anime than what I'm used to.
The only anime news I have is I'm just excited because did I mention when I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I rushed through it because it was leaving Netflix. Turns out it didn't leave Netflix.
Right.
Or if it did, it left it for a week. Not only did it not leave Netflix, but the next part, season 3, which is part 4 in its own counting, is coming on the 26th. So not only did it not leave, but more will be coming.
More's coming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
that. Do you
that.
feel like you've wasted your life a little bit plowing through that as fast as you did?
No, because the only reason I got to the beautiful insanity that is season 2 is because I plowed through season 1.
Okay.
It took. I remember I told you I watched season 2, which was like 50 episodes in a week, because I just didn't want to stop because it was just wonderfully insane and goofy and fun. So yeah, no, I'm totally happy that I tried it, that I saw it.
Good. All right. So, Blood Reaper says, have you tried Pepsi Blue? No. Here's why.
I did try the mango Pepsi, and it was not bad. It's pretty good. Oh.
Yeah. Here's why. Many years ago, there was a Las Vegas attraction called the Star Trek Experience, and it actually was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite attractions in Vegas, and when you go through the whole thing, then you end up in 10 Forward for all intents and purposes, and it's a bar. And they have, I forget what the beer. It was a particular ale that was out of Star Trek, and it was blue. And I ordered one, and was like, oh, we were all joking, like, oh, we're gonna pee blue or yellow, or yellow and blue make green. So like that whole rest of the day, like I'm expecting something to happen. It didn't happen. I'm like, oh, I guess it just goes through your system.
Okay.
A day later, it showed up. Not in your pee.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
So I ordered a case of it. And had it for a long time. And I was working at a job, and I had mentioned that there was this beer that, does things to your body. And somebody at work was like, do you still have any bottles? I'm like, yeah. He goes, bring me a bottle. I want to see. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I brought him a bottle. I'm like, did you have it? He goes, yeah. He goes, anything? He's like, not yet. And maybe a day and a half later, he comes in and he's like, oh, That is terrifying. It's like, yeah, I know. It scares it's just long enough for you to forget. And then there's that moment and you're like, holy shit, I'm dying. Oh no. Oh. And then maybe 3 days later he came in and he goes, how long does it last? like about a week. He's like, yeah, it's really going on a long time. Yeah, it sticks around. It doesn't just stop. It kind of fades.
It's a very strong color. Okay, now it's a lighter blue. Now it's a sky blue. Oh, now it's a baby blue.
It's never sky blue. It's never sky blue. But yes, that's why I avoid any drinks that are dyed blue. I don't know if Pepsi Blue does this. I don't know if they use the same dye, but I've been there, done that. Do not need to do a rerun.
I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Maybe I'll have to find.
See,
if I see Pepsi Blue somewhere.
What is it with people when you say it'll make you poop blue? People are like, "Oh, I gotta see this."
Well, because it doesn't sound like it's because there's some disease inside me. It's just like a food coloring thing. It's like, okay, that's.
But it is shocking. It is shocking because you go from like everything fine to everything not fine, and it is, like I said, a length of time where you kind of forgot that you did that.
Well, no, I'll make sure to only drink 1 can of Pepsi Blue just in case. Okay, in the chat, Blood Reaper says Kroger is the only one that has it so far.
Oh, well, see, we don't have any Krogers out here, so it looks like we will have to wait for other people to be terrified by blue poo.
I'll just get it on Amazon.
True, you can do that.
I'll just order it.
Should we order some? And then should I order some and then have it for next week's show? We could drink Pepsi Blue and see. Sure. The nice thing about it is that you get to know your body. You know exactly how your body is working, what your digestive cycle is.
Sure.
Because you could mark it and you're like, oh, it's a day and a half or it's 2 days.
So speaking of soda and beer, my dad, like out of curiosity, he got this a pack of this non-alcoholic lager, something like that. And he was just curious and he tried it. It wasn't Naps. It's they're called NABs, non-alcoholic beers. NABs. Okay, yeah. And he tried it and he was like, "This is terrible." And so he basically just gave it to me to say, "Hey, here, do you want this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll try it." Yeah, best way to describe it is a beer flavored soda.
Wow.
So speaking of soda, speaking of beer,
and it tastes fine.
Yeah, like I tried it and it's fine. It's like, yeah, okay. If I'm really thirsty and I have nothing else to drink, I'll drink this.
Yeah.
Beer flavored soda.
Oh, Blood Reaper says try Ralph's here. We have a Ralph's.
Okay.
All right. Anything else before we hit the news? Because we don't have a lot.
I don't think we actually ended up talking about Outriders.
Oh, that's right. We did not talk about Outriders,
and then went in a completely different direction.
That's right. Do you want to talk about Outriders? Do you still hate it? In fact, you had the best quote about Outriders last night when we were playing.
Yeah, it was something like, "I'm impressed that the game keeps finding new ways to disappoint me." And I still think the campaign is worth playing. I still think
the campaign is good. The campaign is definitely worth playing. Yeah.
It is fun to play through it to that story's conclusion. It's just that the end game and its emphasis on like all the wrong mechanics and all the wrong systems. And I think the problem I encountered this next time is that I had run into a wall in a lot of the loot upgrade, in which I mainly had equipped on me epic tier items, which give you 2 mod slots. And those are good because they allow you to kind of customize your character in some really impressive ways. Like you can mod a weapon and armor to give you really good abilities. Mm-hmm. And then I was also
those are essential. They're absolutely essential to survive.
And then I was also looking at the attributes. Like after you'd mentioned, like, oh, the attributes actually matter. I was looking for weapons that specifically had certain attributes because, they would help me in the combat. As a result of that, I was fairly picky about what guns I would keep. And so I kept doing these runs, getting a bunch of items and being like, well, it's not an epic. And if it is an epic, it's not actually better than what I have. It doesn't have the right attributes. The firepower, the armor's not as good. I'm just going to sell it, dismantle it, whatever. And so I kept getting into this loop where I just wouldn't get new equipment. And it got to the point where the game at the highest level that I was allowed to would give me like level 46 items. But all the stuff I had equipped was level 43 or at most 44. I think I had one thing that was 44. And what I realized last night is I need to stop being that picky. And it was mainly a matter of realizing, the character customization that I really enjoyed previously, that get into the game, get into the menus and mod it like you would an RPG, go through the skill tree, look at the weapons, the equipment, customize your character to this really specific degree. No, just, hey, is this gun have a bigger number? Use that instead. And just, I liked the character customization. I liked getting into the nitty gritty of the menu and, trying to make something.
You can, but you cannot get until you hit that end, level 15 of the
but at that point,
expeditions,
that is
you can't really get yourself attached to any particular. I mean, I've noticed that. You noticed that you were doing as well as I am, even though I have something like 3 times your firepower.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because I have used my same equipment. I am 1 level behind on my equipment. And I really don't want to get rid of them, but I've got to start getting rid of those equipment and start getting new equipment. I
was disappointed by the realization that it's the loot. The end game emphasizes the loot loop to the point that I think it takes away a lot from the RPG character creation.
I have to agree.
And that kind of stings. That kind of sucks.
Right. I wish that they allowed for more of that in this game. In fact, sometimes it doesn't make any sense to me about why they built it that way. And it makes me think, like, am I just stupid? Why am I dying all the time? I have really high armor. I don't understand. And
it's just that the armor's not high enough.
Right.
Like it's high, it has good mods and good attributes, but it's a couple levels too low, and that makes it kind of useless.
Right. And it shouldn't be that way. Or if they're going to have that, then don't make upgrading your equipment quite so expensive. I mean,
that's also the frustrating part.
Unbelievably expensive to hold on to a piece of armor past its sell by date. You have to you have to the equivalent of run 10 or 15 campaigns successfully in order to hold on to a piece of armor to level it up from 48 to 49.
Yeah. Like that, and even buying stuff in the shop. Like a lot of the shop prices seem prohibitively expensive.
Yeah. It is just as expensive to buy a piece of equipment than it is to upgrade a piece of equipment you already have, which does not make any sense. It almost feels, dare I say, that this was a game that was supposed to have a bunch of microtransactions, but they didn't put the microtransactions in. But they left the mechanics that would put the pressure on you to feel like you had to buy the microtransactions.
Maybe.
And it may be, and I don't know if it's they decided they didn't want to do it and they just didn't rebalance everything and rebalance the end game, or if they're anticipating that they're going to add microtransactions in later. So they made it an uncomfortable experience now so that they could add the microtransactions saying, good news, we're doing something, we're responding to your desires. We're making the game better for you by adding microtransactions. So you don't have this problem anymore.
I don't think they'd go that far because so much of the game's pre-release emphasized that it's not a live service game. They're like, hey, it might get an expansion and DLC, but it doesn't have those daily quests. It doesn't have that type of thing. It's a Diablo, not a Destiny.
Right, but it feels like it was a Destiny without the store.
Yeah, that's kind of a good way to put it. And
so anyway,
that's not necessarily a bad thing though, because at least playing through a lot of it, I'm very happy that, because like I said way back when I first played it, like when you first get into it, the loot loop is really, really good because you're constantly getting new things, and then like once you get up to a certain level and you get the ability to modify things, that kind of opens this whole new window. And so the arc of playing the campaign and stuff, it keeps introducing new systems and stuff that loop feels really good. It's only at the end when that loop kind of dries up and I'm not quite getting enough things, and the process to get better things feels very arduous and long. If anything, that's the worst part, is that the game in the beginning is very generous with its loop. It's just like, yeah, here, take some stuff, take stuff, and all of it feels good. But then once you get to the end game, it's like, oh wait, I'm getting a lot of stuff, but a lot of it doesn't seem all that good. And so that loop just kind of slows and dries.
Yep. So that's Outriders.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else before we hit the news?
Nope.
All right, then let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer Edie and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is...
I think we should start with the craziest one, I feel like, which is the chaos that is happening at Target over trading cards.
Yeah. So, trading cards. If you used to go to Target to get your trading cards, bad news, you can't go in store to do it anymore. Target announced day before yesterday that they would be suspending all sales of trading cards. This includes Pokemon cards specifically, but also includes sports cards like MLB and NFL and NBA.
And Magic cards.
And Magic cards. Anything that's a trading card, they're not doing. And it came about because there was recently someone assaulted in a Target parking lot in a dispute over Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I think what it was is like someone was walking out with a box, and he was attacked by 4 other people. The guy getting attacked pulled a gun.
Right. He had a gun in his car. So he went and got his gun.
I think it wasn't a car. I think it was like a concealed carry. Like I think he pulled it out.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the other guys ran away and he didn't end up firing it. So no one was hurt from it. And then the guys were later found fairly easily nearby. But it was the fact that someone had to pull a gun to prevent their cards from being stolen.
Yep.
And what's crazy is that listening to the Giant Bombcast, one of the members there is a fan of Pokemon and sort of plays the Pokemon cards. And for the past 2 months, he was kind of giving updates. I remember several weeks ago, he would say he had a little fun story about how Pokemon cards were getting surprisingly hard to find. And his barber is also a fan of the game. And so he went with his barber to hang out in front of a Target early in the morning to get Pokemon cards because Target had limited when they would sell it. They would only sell cards in the beginning of the day. And so people had to line up. And so for a couple weeks, he kind of kept giving these updates about his attempts to get the Pokemon cards. And like, as he's telling this week by week, it just felt like you could feel it getting worse and worse until, this week the news came out. There's this altercation and Target is like, fuck it, we're not doing it anymore. But I guess part of what he says the problem is that the part of it is scalpers, because the whole scalping community that has descended upon electronics has had to find something else to do, and so a lot of it has focused on trading cards, but also a lot of it has to do with the Paul brothers and what's that singer that's got all the stupid tattoos on his face? Post Malone.
Post Malone. Okay. I
I
was going to
guess-
say, which one?
If you've seen Post Malone,
Yeah, but there's also
you know.
what's his name? Something 6ix9ine. Yeah, there's a bunch.
Oh
of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I guess like Post Malone, and the Paul brothers did like some unboxing videos, and that sort of increased the demand for Pokemon cards. And then at one point, Post Malone was like, "I also really like Magic," and all of a sudden, the Magic cards start flying off the shelves, and so a lot of this demand is driven by people trying to buy the cards so that they can then turn around and flip them, not necessarily by people actually wanting to play it.
Right. Yeah. No, they're buying them to sell them.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that happened.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Yeah, and it's not just in the chat. Blood Reaper said it's not just Target. I know Walmart has had low inventory. I guess Walmart doesn't necessarily explicitly carry Pokemon cards, but I guess a third-party person comes in to restock them, but that third-party person hasn't come in lately, because I think it was either Polygon or GameSpot, like, called a bunch of stores to see if they have Pokemon cards available, and a lot of them did not. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. My first item is, do you remember quite some time ago? Well, I guess it was maybe last week or a week or two ago, we were talking about the Destiny 2 transmogrification system.
Yeah. It was like 3 to 4 steps involved in it. You've got to get cords, and then you've got to make it into a fabric, and then you make it into a weave. And then you can only use the weave like 10 times.
So yeah, the transmogrification is changing the appearance of for those who don't know, for changing the appearance of your armor to look like some other kind of armor. It doesn't change the stats. It's purely cosmetic. And this is something that Destiny 2 players have been asking for a long, long time. The Bungie instituted something that they called the armor synthesis system. And the armor synthesis system, we knew as of a couple of weeks ago that the transmog system was going to be, you needed to battle enemies to gather 150 synth strands. Then you had to turn those synth strands in to get a bounty. If you did the bounty, then you got a synth cord. Then you could take the synth cord and go to the Loom of Time and turn it into synth weave. And it's with the synth weave that you could create something that would allow you to transmogrify one piece of armor. Well, that was bad enough. The armor synthesis has been out in the wild now for a little while. And it turns out that adding insult to injury, that original thing that you need, synth strand, that you need to get 150 of them to get the bounty, they don't drop based on how many enemies you kill. They drop based on time. You get one synth strand every 2 minutes. Doesn't matter how many enemies you kill. So people have done math on this. and it is not pretty. So the way that they and there is a cap on these transmogrifications that you can only get 10 per character per season.
Yeah. Except if you reach that limit,
if you buy
it. Yes, you can buy them.
You can always buy it.
You can always spend money to speed it up.
Right, exactly. So some people have actually gone through the process of figuring out how much it will take. And this was a Reddit thread that I'm going to post here so that you can see it. So this is a player that posted to Reddit. The total time to reach the transmogrification cap, that 10 transmogs per season, is 53 hours, 20 minutes, or 6 days, 16 hours for 3 characters per season. So this guy made a point. I want to put these numbers in a bit of perspective. According to this site, to the Bungie site, I have roughly 84 days of play time on Destiny 2 since it released back in September 2017, nearly 4 years ago. This counts only the active time spent in activities not in orbit or tower or any other social space. I'm listed in the top 3% of playtime among all people who've signed in the game. So I'm definitely an abnormal no-lifer compared to most of the population. This game is my hobby. If you take my playtime of 84 days or 2,016 hours and divide that number by the years this game has been out, roughly 4, you get an average playtime of about 504 hours a year for me. This equates to 21 days of playtime I put into this game. Remember, it takes 26 days of playtime to hit 3 characters, all transmogs, for the year. Remember, you've got the 6 days, 16 hours.
They're basically, they don't want you to read
4, because there's 4 seasons. So he says, this still isn't enough time to reach the transmog cap for every season in the year, and I'm in the top 3%. It takes almost 27 full days of playtime to reach the transmog cap for all 4 seasons a year, and I'm short at 21 days a year. Even if you have no life like me, you're still going to fall short. So yeah, the player anger has turned into player rage with this. And it's for something that has been that they've asked for the last 4 years, and B, that is not something that affects anything other than the way it looks.
That's the thing. This isn't really a gameplay changing situation. This is just, hey, I want to change the way my gun looks.
This is just a quality of life enjoyment of the game. It is not actually changing the mechanics of the game.
It's simple character customization.
Yep. It'd be the difference of like changing your hair color, but for your armor. And most games that have any kind of transmog system don't put it behind a paywall, or if they put it behind some kind of a wall, it's at least remotely attainable.
Yeah, it's not a grind, because part of the fun of those games is creating the character that you like.
Right. This game is already grindy enough. It does not need any more grind.
That's actually something I noticed in Outriders too. Is sometimes I'll get a piece of armor and think, oh man, this helmet looks really cool. And then, 30 minutes later, I get a better helmet. And it's like,
it's like, gone. I really like that look. Because you want to be able to feel attached to your character. How your character looks affects how your character, how much of a part of you, how emotionally invested you are in that character. When you're emotionally invested in a character, you play that character more. So it all works out to improve the game for not only the player, but also for the developer, because more people will play it because they're attached to their character. It's an extension of themselves. But yeah. So that was kind of a big thing today or this week.
Yeah, that sucks.
Just it encourages me not to do Destiny. Honestly.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Destiny 2, and like I know that I'm not the kind of person who would ever get to this point where any of this would matter. But I feel personally like I was so burned by Destiny 1 that I just hold this grudge against the entire IP. I was like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't want to
well,
play
Reaper
you.
points out it's not guns, just armor.
Okay.
But still, even so, it doesn't really materially change the argument that it is unreasonable.
Yeah.
So AC Wraith, of course, has to say Warframe for the win.
Hey, more and more, it's like, hey, Warframe is the game that does everything right.
So far,
All
it
this
seems
stuff
that way.
right.
It definitely seems that way. Next item.
This was an interesting one. So with the whole Epic v Apple thing, a lot of people are kind of waiting for that to like expand into the console storefronts with PSN or the Xbox Live Store. I guess Xbox Store, because they've taken away the Live branding. And recently, Sony is being sued over the PSN's digital monopoly. But what's interesting is that's not coming from developers, and it's not actually, it doesn't have anything to do with the cuts that people take out of it. Instead, what seems to have happened is that if I buy a PC game on Amazon and I buy it digitally, I can get a Steam code for it, right? I can just buy and you can do that with a lot of games where you get a code for something from a third party. Apparently, Sony stopped allowing that in 2019, so that you can't buy Resident Evil 8 digitally off Amazon for the PlayStation specifically.
I didn't know that.
Neither did I. And at least this is what is being alleged in the suit. Yeah, Sony previously allowed players to purchase games via download codes from third-party retailers like GameStop and Amazon, but in 2019, after a leaked memo circulated online, Sony confirmed that download codes were only purchasable via the PlayStation Store, not third-party retailers. And so the suit is basically saying this creates a monopoly over the sale of digital PlayStation games. And that's what they're fighting against.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm pulling it up here. Resident Evil 8. Is it Resident Evil 8? Right?
Yeah, Resident Evil Village, right there. PlayStation 5 Standard Edition.
Oh, Sid's Judgment. All right, so...
Well, you can even look at Returnal. Returnal would, because that's a PlayStation exclusive. And it doesn't look like there's necessarily a way to get it digitally, just the disc. But then look up like the Master Chief Collection. And then can you get that digitally?
I don't see that digital.
You can get it from like other sellers or used or something like that.
There it is, digital code.
Oh. Okay. And so yeah, what happens if you type in Returnal digital code? Or just, I guess, Returnal digital.
Nope.
You get completely
batteries.
Yeah.
And a Nintendo Switch Lite.
So yeah, the suit basically says that games on average on the digital store sell for 75% more than they would for the physical counterparts. So that hey, look, they've got a monopoly, and as a result, they're not allowing prices to fluctuate, and the prices on the storefront don't accurately reflect prices on the physical goods.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's not
It's an
much out of
argument.
it. Yeah, it is. It's a solid argument, and it's interesting because, like you, I completely did not realize that you couldn't buy
Neither
PSN
did I.
codes
Yeah.
from Amazon.
I wonder if there any PSN codes you can get?
I'm pretty sure you can get codes for the PSN subscription. Yeah, like the membership codes.
Yeah.
And you could get like a gift card codes from Amazon. You just can't get a code for a game. So like I
Yeah.
could
You can
buy.
get Code Vein.
Is that digitally?
No.
Oh,
But it
there
came
you
up
go.
when I looked up PSN code.
Yeah, no, I play that on Game Pass, and I'm glad I did because that game is not very good.
Yeah, you can get coin codes for games, and you can get PlayStation Store codes.
Yeah. So you can give someone a digital gift card, and then they can buy the game digitally, but you can't just give them a digital code for a game.
No. That's annoying.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out because obviously, from what we've seen, Sony's the only one that does this.
Yeah. Let's see. What other thing? Oh, did I? Oh, I think I got rid of. Oh, damn it. So my next item, which I have to remember what it is, Ubisoft. Let me pull it up. Oh, go ahead and talk about something else. I've lost my tab.
Okay, I know what you're talking about with Ubisoft. They've basically said in an earnings call that they're going to focus and prioritize on free-to-play games.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to find the exact quote. But yeah, it seems that they basically they then had to like immediately walk that back a little bit and say like, no, this doesn't mean that we're not going to put out AAA games. Things like Far Cry 6, and they even mentioned Skull and Bones. So that's one news story, is that Skull and Bones is apparently delayed into 2022. But
Oh.
I didn't even know that it was coming out. So at least it's good to have a year. But apparently they are still working on that game. Note that they didn't say anything about Beyond Good and Evil 2.
No, they didn't. They never will.
But maybe
they're just gonna always dangle that in front of us.
But maybe that will be one of their free-to-play games.
It reminds me of that commercial with the what was it, the insurance commercial with the guy who puts the dollar bill at the end of a fishing pole, and it's like, whoop, almost got it. Almost got it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, you almost got it there. Yeah, that's how it is with Beyond Good and Evil 2. They just keep dangling in front of us just to make us try and reach for it.
Yeah. And so yeah, there was an earnings call, and Ubisoft's the guy is Frederick Duguet, Ubisoft's chief financial officer, told them that Ubisoft would be prioritizing persistent free-to-play video game franchises. And this kind of comes on the heels last week of the announcement of a kind of spin-off of The Division called The Division Heartland, which would be a free-to-play version of that game. But what I think is interesting about this is that I remember way back with movies when big summer blockbusters were the tent poles. And by tent poles, they meant they would make a lot of money, which would then fund the rest of the smaller movies that got released throughout the year.
Right.
What sort of has happened, though, to the movie industry is that blockbusters have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and spread throughout the year to the point where almost everything is a blockbuster, and there's not many smaller movies coming out now. And that is generally what the games industry has been. A lot of these big publishers putting out a couple huge games that have to hit big.
Right. You remember that it used to be a season. The season was, you had the summer blockbuster, and then you had the Christmas blockbuster. And those were the only blockbusters that you had.
Mhm.
Now it's like, there's the spring blockbuster and the fall blockbuster. And it's just like, and the Tuesday blockbuster. It's all,
Yeah.
we all want massive, mega, AAA IPs. Give me the 2, give me the 3, give me the DLC. It's like more. We're a bunch of kids on sugar, and we just want our next sugar hit.
And you kind of saw this in games with the release of, I think, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, with the demise of THQ. That game development got so expensive that the B game kind of disappeared. And
Right.
over time, it's kind of been replaced with the rise of indie games. But that sort of mid-tier AAA, that double A game,
Yeah, the Spiders game.
kind of doesn't exist yet. Yeah, Spiders. And it feels like what this represents for Ubisoft is that the free-to-play games are taking on the role of the tentpole blockbusters. And what we would normally consider the blockbuster games, things like Far Cry 6 and like Skull and Bones, are just the things that they put out otherwise to kind of, get prestige, the end of year awards or things like that. But it's going to be the free-to-play games that actually make the money that allow them to fund everything else.
Right. Yeah, it's much like it is in Hollywood. Same thing. Where
except Hollywood doesn't have a free-to-play system,
right?
Which is why a lot of movies are kind of struggling.
But and it's not a free-to-play system, but it is, like you said, that same kind of thing where you put out the Christmas, the Halloween horror movie, or the big superhero summer blockbuster. And then right in the last month of the year, that's when you put out the art film that's going to get you the Oscar.
Right. That's December.
That's when you put out like
Oscar
Munich bait. And what was it? The King's Speech, and like those kinds of films, those thinking man's films. You don't put those out in summer. And and so they're just using the free-to-play games as that like cash grab that will, and it's not so much
cash grab as it's like, this is what funds everything else. It's the tent pole. It is the things holding
everything else
the rest of the company.
Yeah. So according to Frederick Duguay, he said during that triple call that they're still planning on releasing 3 to 4 premium AAA games per year. But the habit of doing 3 to 4 AAA games a year is, quote, no longer a proper indication of Ubisoft's value creation dynamics. Talk about like corporate
a lot of buzzwords. Basically saying, he's basically like, if we put out 3 big games, our company's better than that.
Right.
Like, don't judge the health of the company by how these 3 games do.
Yeah. They said, well, it will continue to maintain a, quote, high cadence of content delivery, including powerful premium and free-to-play new releases. The goal is to grow audiences by, quote, widening our brand at the top of the funnel.
Okay.
In other words, they're going to try and convince more people to try Ubisoft games by making them free at the entry level.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, and kind of like, given the way the industry has trended, like that kind of makes a lot of sense.
And it doesn't mean, I mean, they were very quick. In fact, AC Wraith posted this link to an article. They're absolutely had to kind of come back after that earnings call because it was interpreted as we're interpreting it. There's a lot of people were saying, hey, does that mean everything's going free to play and we're not getting any AAA titles? And they're like, no, that's not what we're saying. They're just, like AC Ray says, creating a new paradigm where free-to-plays are going to get more people into play these titles from a free-to-play perspective on an entry level, and then moving them up into actually these AAA games. Because if you think about it, it does also make sort of an element of sense, is that if you get a really popular free-to-play game, it is wildly, totally, off the hook, everybody wants it. Those people who are real big fans of that free-to-play game will end up buying a AAA game that is that game. So instead of it
Kind of a
being
spin-off of that.
right, that the AAA game becomes a spin-off of the free-to-play game.
Mm-hmm.
So you walk into that new IP with an existing fan base.
Yeah.
He was just making fun of the business speak.
but
New
you're
paradigm is really not business speak.
You're also not wrong.
Yeah.
That's the funny part.
Yeah. But he says it worked as a segue, I guess. What synergy? Yeah. We're all hitting on the same buttons. Pew, pew. So yeah, I'm not as upset about this as a lot of people are. A lot of people saw that as the end of Ubisoft, the end of Assassin's Creed.
I mean, I think that's because people interpret it as like, oh, we're only going to make free-to-play games. But that's not what they're actually doing. They're just acknowledging that free-to-play games are kind of where the money is in the industry.
That's where the bread and butter is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it kind of makes sense to use those to fund everything else.
Yep. So my next item is, and it is my last item. We might have a very short show today.
I've got a bunch of other stuff.
Okay. Battlefield 6. So there was another earnings call, this time by EA, because it is that season, that has raised a lot of eyebrows, in that there was great discussion about Battlefield 6 coming up, about how it's going to be releasing this holiday season. It's going to be on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and PC. That there may not be a campaign. A campaign in that game was not mentioned in that call, although they went into great detail about the multiplayer. And the failure of EA to talk about a campaign in Battlefield 6 when they went into it in such great detail has a lot of insiders kind of going, oh, does this mean they're finally getting rid of the campaign on this? And a couple of people actually went back into past EA earnings calls and to see if anywhere in the past with a Battlefield game that they did not mention the campaign coming to it. And this is the first time that has happened, that in an earnings call that the campaign was not mentioned when they were discussing upcoming Battlefield.
Mm-hmm. So
that has a lot of people kind of wondering. Now, that being said, take this with a huge grain of salt. It is speculation. They haven't said a word about the new campaign, and they didn't comment on anything that has been said about it yet. They didn't mention a lot of things that they might have mentioned. They didn't mention a battle royale mode in the game. But according to what's kind of understood is there's going to be a battle royale mode in Battlefield 6. It's kind of the general speculation, what people have been hearing around, that's going to happen. So that the fact that it was not mentioned may or may not mean something, but it is the first time that has happened.
It's kind of funny because Battlefield started as a multiplayer only game, and then I think it was the first console version, which was Bad Company, that
Right.
had an actual campaign. And
Right.
then everyone after that had a campaign. To the point that now we're like, wait, it doesn't have a campaign?
Right. And honestly, there has been talk for a really long time for these first-person military shooters, both Battlefield and Call of Duty, getting rid of the campaign. They have talked about that for at least the last decade.
Yes.
And every time that someone mentions it, everybody flips out, and then they're like, "Don't worry, we'll put a campaign in there."
I could
Look,
see
honestly,
Six not having it because not the last Call of Duty, but Black Ops 4 didn't have a campaign, and that game still sold really well. And the truth is, I think Battlefield 5 was the first Battlefield game that I don't think I ever touched the campaign. I probably put more hours into that than I did in anything since Bad Company 2, and I never touched the campaign because since the Bad Company games, which were genuinely enjoyable and had a really good campaign, every other campaign since then has just been kind of bad.
I've never played a campaign on
Really?
either Battlefield or Call of Duty. Not even Bad Company. And that was my first military FPS. That was my first person shooter, was playing it Bad Company with you. And I think I played it. I've never played it through. I think you could probably say sum total of all military first person shooters, I probably played maybe 2 hours combined.
Like, I've always been a campaign guy. Part of me wants to get the new Modern Warfare game just so I can play through that campaign. But yeah, the Battlefield ones, I remember Bad Company was great. Bad Company 2 was okay. I think Battlefield 4 was just kind of crap.
Battlefield 5, I think I played the tutorial and then I left.
Yeah, I don't remember what the campaign was for Battlefield 1. But I know I did play some of it.
Battlefield 1, that was the one in World War
I? Yes.
Yes, I played I'm sorry, I played the tutorial in Battlefield 1.
Okay.
And that was all I played. I mean, I should say I actually tried to go back to it later. It's like, this is boring. I just want to play the multiplayer.
So I could see them doing it, if only because Call of Duty did it and like wasn't hurt financially by that removal. And also, like, I think that Battlefield's quality of the campaign has just kind of decreased with each iteration of the game. And so, to the point when someone like me, who usually prioritizes that mode of the game and plays it first, like, wasn't even interested in it with 5.
Right.
So I would, part of me still thinks, oh, that's too bad. Like, I would like to see it, but at the same time, I think the trend, there's enough like trends in that direction that I wouldn't be surprised if they had removed it.
Yeah. So I'm not tore up, to say the least.
Maybe I should go play the campaign for Battlefield 5, and if it was really good, then I'll be sad. But if it was real bad, I'll be like, yeah, no big loss.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do that.
Blood Reaper says not going to be a good idea. I guess there are a lot of people who really love those campaigns. I know that Goalie loved the campaign of one of those Battlefields. He really loved. He loves the campaigns more so than he loves the multiplayer.
Yeah, because I mean, with multiplayer, a lot of it is you go out there, you maybe hit one guy and then die, and then respawn, run back. The campaign kind of allows you to play.
Mm-hmm. To play uninterrupted by some asshole teabagging you. And that asshole would be me.
Yeah. And so it is a loss in that regard. It's just that I wish that the campaigns were better, because I don't think they were good for a long time.
Well, I think that they've just recognized that the vast majority of players never even touch the campaign. So why put a bunch of money into it and why make it any good? Because nobody's going to play it anyway. So,
or you know what? You could
it's a tree that falls in the woods that nobody's listening to.
You know, Titanfall had a solution for this, which is you fill the map with NPCs as well as players so that, you know, you can still, an average person could kill a bunch of other soldiers if they were NPCs, and then you might get killed by another player, but at least you're participating in the battle.
True.
And
why
then, you know,
didn't I like Titanfall? I can't remember why I
because you're a
didn't like
bad
Titanfall.
person.
Really?
Yes, Titanfall. No, you want to know a good campaign. You want to know a game that justifies the existence of shooter campaigns is Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 may have the single best shooter campaign of anything, I don't know, since Half-Life or the original Modern Warfare.
Really? Maybe
It's
I should
fucking amazing.
To, a Titanfall 2.
You absolutely should. That campaign is fucking awesome.
Really?
Oh God, yes.
That's a thought. I might just do that.
Yeah, you should.
In
and
my
you know
vast amounts of spare time.
And maybe this is a sign of things. Titanfall 2 had the best campaign of any recent shooter. There's no Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
So maybe right there is like, yeah, you know, you can make a great campaign, and but then Titanfall 2 was also fucked over by EA. The way it was released, it got really screwed over.
Yeah, it did. Blood Reaper says, I think Call of Duty did something like that and got flack for it. Probably.
See, I thought I don't think
Activision does not care.
That's the thing. It's like, I think people criticized it initially, but then when it came out, they were like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's Call of Duty. We're going to play it. Bobby Kotick knows your number. He's got it, and he's not afraid to use it.
Yeah, Kotick don't care.
Kotick don't give a fuck. So, anything else?
So, going back to Sony, lots of Sony stuff. In good Sony news, their Play at Home initiative is continuing this month. Or is it this month? Yes, starting on May 17th, which would be tomorrow, if you're watching this live. The Play at Home continues, not with a bunch of new full games, but with a bunch of free DLC. So this would include a free DLC for Rocket League, Brawlhalla, Destruction All-Stars, MLB The Show 21, NBA 2K21, Rogue Company, World of Tanks, Warframe, and Call of Duty Warzone.
Oh, AC Rice must be so happy. Well, but he's not on PlayStation, so.
Oh, yes, this is specifically PlayStation stuff. So yeah, continuing the freebies, which is nice because that's how I got Subnautica, is from their freebie giveaway last month. And yeah, so if you play any of those games, just be sure to log on to PlayStation and download your free stuff, because why not?
Why not?
Yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah.
So in less cool news, Sony has also warned that the PlayStation 5 shortages are probably going to continue into 2022. So just in case you thought there was an end in sight.
I heard that I forgot where I read it, that they had said that they're ramping up production this summer, and they're still going to have PS5 shortages until 2022.
Yeah. It is the fastest selling console, like officially the fastest selling console in US history. But there's also rumors that they are trying to redesign the console amid these shortages to maybe try to find some way around them. Specifically,
have they ever addressed that the shortages may, at least in part, be driven by scalpers buying up all of the stock?
Yes, part of that probably is, but that's also not something they can do anything about. And I think a lot of the shortages are also because, chips are just
the chip shortage is
terrible short supply and is fucking over everyone.
Yeah, and it's fucking over car manufacturers. It's fucking over everything that there's no chips for anything. And that comes straight out of COVID because they shut down chip manufacturing in China. And so we knew that was going to happen. I talked about that when we knew China was shutting down at the beginning of COVID in March of last year. I'm like, this is going to have deep repercussions in the electronics industry, because between movies and movies are going to recover more than chips, because they only had a certain amount of chips sitting in warehouses. And once those are done, that supply has been interrupted and we're fucked.
Yeah. And so this revision would not be a PlayStation 5 Slim. That's not what this is. This is just a matter of trying to, what is it specifically? He said they're looking for alternative suppliers as a solution to production problems. So it's basically, trying to find a way around this shortages.
I wonder if this is going to result in having two different kinds of PlayStations, the way that the PlayStation 3 was. Like the first generation PlayStation 3s was backwards compatible with a physical chipset, had an additional chipset in it. And then they figured out the software workaround so that they didn't need to make that additional chipset. And that was what made the first generation PlayStation 3s so much more expensive, and why I have one upstairs. I am not putting it in my basement. I'm not putting it in the garage. I'm taking no chances. That thing is sitting right there because it's got the dual chipset.
Yeah, that could be. It seems like with this redesign, they're not looking to they're not going to improve the console, but they're also not going to decrease its capabilities or anything. They're just trying to find a way around a lot of these really heavy supply issues and supply constraints.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for everything. And if I can give a bit of advice to anyone who is in California specifically, or even in the Rocky Mountains, anywhere where you were affected by smoke last year when we had the wildfires in the western states, get a air cleaner now. Like if you don't have an air filter, get yourself an air filter now before the fires start in earnest, because this year is going to be bad. I mean, last year was bad. This year is going to make last year look like 10 years ago. It is going to be the worst drought. It is right now the worst drought year that we have had in generations. It's just a matter of time before the western part of the United States is almost entirely on fire. I'm calling it right now. And you do not want to be looking for an air filter for your house, because you're probably going to spend several months, especially if you live in California, several months under a thick haze of wildfire smoke and with your windows closed and trying to keep yourself healthy. If you at all, or if anybody in your household especially, is sensitive to smoke, like you have asthma or any other kind of breathing issues or heart issues, and you don't have an air cleaner now, an air filter, air purifier in your home, buy one now, because you will not be able to buy one in another month or two when the fires really start happening in earnest. It's going to be like trying to buy an air conditioner in the middle of a heat wave, but the heat wave is going to last for probably 10 months. And if you have an air cleaner in your house already, get yourself a replacement, because you're supposed to replace the filters every year. Get yourself replacement filters now, because in about a month and a half to 2 months, depending on when our first real big fires start to happen, there's not going to be any replacement filters to be found in the United States. Or you're going to only have to buy very high priced ones that are knockoffs that may not be very good. So get them now.
So then what is a
That's
good
my
air filter? Because I don't have one.
All right. Really? Want to talk about air filters? All right. So
yeah, take a moment.
Let me see. I have to look to see air purifier for the home. I bought one last year And I got one that was pretty damn good. I'm actually really, really happy with it. And this is what I bought and my pick. And I am pulling it up. Oh, of course it's not pulling it up.
Okay, in the chat, AC Wraith had a link to a list of California Air Resource Board certified air cleaning devices.
That's the ones you want to go to, that list right there. The California Air Resources Board certifies air cleaners, and that is a really good location for that list. Very good, AC Wraith. I actually recommended that on my other show. This is the one that I bought there. Good ones are not cheap. You can make them at home by using a box fan and furnace filters, but you have to change the furnace filters a lot. You'll probably end up spending as much on the furnace filters as you will on an air purifier. It makes a huge difference. So I stopped sharing my Windows. Hold on 1 second. Let me share my Chrome tab. This is the one that I bought, and I'm really pleased with it. The Coway AP1512. And the replacement filters are, I think, because it's got 3 filters in it. It's got 2 HEPA filters and 1 main filter. So it costs $50 for the replacement filters. So it's not cheap, but it is a really good filter. It's really quiet, and it's got a mode on it that detects what the amount of particulate matter you have in the air. So when it goes up, it'll actually turn itself on. And then when it goes down, it actually powers down. So it's like, if it's super bad, a lot of particulate matter in your house, it turns all the way up. And then when it starts noticing less particulate matter, it starts to wind down. So it adjusts itself depending on what the air quality is in your home. And I did not spend this much for it, but actually, did I? I think I did spend that. So $195. So it's on sale right now on Amazon. Pretty good filter. And I would get one for your house. And I wanted one. Essentially my house is one big open room. So I needed one that really pumped out a lot. You can get smaller ones that don't have as much coverage, meaning that it only clears the air in a 20 by 20 room. And so that would be your clean room. And you just keep the doors closed, and that's the room that you go to spend most of your time, especially if you're starting to notice that you're having a hard time breathing. So, and as Blood Reaper says, you get what you pay for. It's absolutely true when it comes to air filters, air cleaners. So do that while you can. I know this is kind of weird to bring it up during PS5 shortages, but you always want to do things before the rest of the crowd. And I'm really surprised that the same scalpers that went after PlayStation 5, those scalpers consortiums, I'm really surprised that they did not, they haven't descended on air cleaners now.
Yeah, maybe we just haven't seen it yet.
They will. Because, these guys are doing everything from sneakers to consoles. If it's in demand, they will do it. There is a part of me that it's like, man, I could buy like 10 of those, and then I could probably make $50 a piece on them, $500, and people will buy it. People will buy that shit. So so that's my hot tip of the day.
Okay.
Get yourself a filter now.
I'll have to look into that.
You're gonna want it. Remember last year?
Oh yeah, I do.
God, do I still have the video? I think I must have it somewhere.
I remember it was hard to take video because all the goddamn digital videos, they try to color correct because they didn't accurately capture the orange sky, because the software in them keeps trying to color correct because it knows that's not right.
Yeah. I'm trying
to. So it was hard to take pictures of it.
Video file. No, I don't want to do that. No, cancel. Let me see. Maybe I can.
While you're doing that, I have a story. Knowing that you have a PS3 hooked up, you might be interested in this. There is this comes from extremetech.com, which is interesting. Blood Reaper, I think, put this in the chat.
Here we go. These are my messages from last year. This was me. It was that video right there. Can you hear it?
It's got a sepia filter on it.
How much was it? I'm sorry. You can't hear it, but I can.
Yeah, I can't hear it. It's
that was 12:15 in the afternoon. Headlights were on. Street lights were on. Yeah.
Like I said, it looks like you just put a sepia filter on it.
Yep. That was us for it. It was everything was orange for a whole day.
Mm-hmm.
It was scary. So anyway, you were saying?
Yeah. Did you ever see Blade Runner 2049?
No, I did not.
It's a good movie, but also there's a scene where he goes out to a desert, and I swear to God, it is exactly like what that was.
Yeah.
And
then we had no clue. We knew no clue that was coming. We went to bed and everything was fine. We woke up the next morning and it was like, what the fuck is going? Like you're checking your clock. You're like, what the fuck is going on? You go out in the front and it's dark. It's like dark. It's nighttime. And you looking at your clock and you're like, it's 8:00 in the morning. What? Yeah. It's weird.
But going back to games. So apparently, this is from Extreme Tech. The PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 have an internal CMOS battery to keep the system clock.
Yeah.
When that battery dies, a switch gets tripped, and the console then is required to connect to the PlayStation Network to confirm the time. And apparently this check happens at different times for the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. But what's important is that if the PlayStation 3 fails that check, you're kind of prevented from playing any online game. If the PlayStation 4 fails that check, then it just won't let you run anything. So that's fine now because the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 PSN is up. But taking into account that, the Vita store was about to close down, a couple weeks ago, you jump ahead 10, 20 years when Sony's like, yeah, we're going to shut down the PlayStation 4 PSN. The issue is that because of this battery timer, because the PlayStation 4 would fail that check, that would basically prevent it from playing anything. And so even if you had that old hardware, it would then be rendered useless.
Yep. It would essentially turn it into a brick.
Yeah.
Until it, yeah.
And so unlike a lot of other retro consoles, the idea of, always online world retro console is sort of, they might not last.
Yeah. Yeah. The PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 are only good as long as Sony keeps those systems up. And if they disable the systems, then the machine is disabled.
And Blood Reaper reminded me that the PS3 was included with the PSP and Vita as well. The PS3 store would have shut down, which would have likely caused the PlayStation 3 consoles to fail that check.
But at least you could still play the PlayStation 3.
Yes.
You just couldn't play online with anybody.
From the Extreme Tech article, and they're getting it from Ars Technica, the PS3 checks in the first time you play a downloaded game, while the PS4 connects to PSN when you play retail games on a disc. If these checks are not performed at least once after the CMOS battery replacement, the console will not run the affected content. So, yeah, the PS3 would be less affected since you lose online games, but the PS4 would be mostly useless afterwards.
Yeah, you couldn't even play a disc game.
Uh-huh.
That's how they get you, man. That's how they get you. Planned obsolescence.
not just planned obsolescence, but like I don't know, more than that. It's more than just obsolescence. It's like, obsolescence means, we want you to upgrade. But this is like, no, your entire thing becomes a brick. Like, it's not just out of date. It's useless.
Yep. Yeah, it does kind of. There must be some kind of software workaround on that.
I'm sure that they
someone
could
will
release
be
a
able
patch.
to do when they do. Because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
always been games that have been games and consoles that are old that.
Oh yeah, like there's some
you can work
modder that
around.
will have a workaround for it, but it's the fact that we have to mod the console to do that.
Mhm.
The publishers kind of still to this day, like, kind of don't give a shit about longevity and preservation of older things.
Mhm. God, I'm looking at the pictures of the sky on that day.
Oh, jeez.
Just bright orange. Oh God. Anything else?
Yes. So there was Gabe Newell, the CEO of Valve, recently attended a Q&A session, and he was asked if we'll be seeing more Steam games on consoles in the future. And I guess this is coming from GameBite. In response, Gabe hesitated before stating, "You will get a better idea of that by the end of this year." And so that kind of it's the fact that it's not a no kind of raises a lot of questions about, well, what does that actually mean? Is Valve going to be putting out some things for consoles? They sort of had a big initiative with that, like not a couple years ago, several years ago. Like Portal 2 came to console, the Orange Box came to consoles. They made a big deal about that. But yeah, now not a lot. Granted, Valve kind of hasn't published a lot in those years that would come to consoles anyways. So I guess the question is like, what could they put on consoles? But yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm absolutely okay with that.
Yes, same with me.
It's a natural evolution for Valve. It's always seemed to be this big fence between the two, that PlayStation is PlayStation and Xbox is Xbox, and they're on one side of the fence and Switch is on that side of the fence as well. And then Valve and PC are all on the other side of the fence, and Xbox kind of straddles the two and has been more and more knocking down the fence between the one side and the other. And with I put certainly a portion of the reason why that is happening simply because of the integration that Xbox is embracing with the PC side and the console side. When you've got Game Pass that is both PC, you buy one Game Pass, it's good for your PC, it's good for your console. There's slowly been that kind of loop, maybe not getting rid of the fence, but at least knocking it down so you could hop over if you wanted to.
Did we mention last week about Sony and their hate for crossplay coming out of the Epic versus Apple?
No, we didn't. You want to talk about that?
Okay, yeah. I'm not going to try to find a story for that, but yeah, it came out that basically Sony was heavily against crossplay with Xbox, and now they do allow it, but that's not because the pressure got to them. That's because they basically put out a system where developers would have to pay them for that. Basically, they have some equation where you take the number of players for a game on PlayStation versus the number of purchases and revenue that comes in. And if those numbers don't match up, if there's a lot of players on PlayStation, but the revenue is really low, with the assumption that that means that players are buying things on other platforms, the developer would then have to pay Sony that lost revenue. And so basically it's a system where developers pay Sony to allow crossplay.
Yeah. So it's a profit center.
Yeah. It's a shakedown.
It's a little bit, it's not any different than what Bungie is doing. It's like, oh, you wanted
No,
this bad, you're going to pay for it.
No, Bungie's not charging people for crossplay.
No, but Bungie is
Microsoft
charging
isn't.
people for transmog when it's something that the community has really wanted. And when you see people that really, really want something, you're like, hey, if they really want it, we can charge for it.
But yeah, the fact that, no one else does this, Microsoft doesn't charge people like this. It's just Sony. And it kind of brings into question, like that prevents a lot of smaller games from embracing crossplay that might otherwise really help them.
Right. And anybody that is under the delusion that Sony is not a dickhead company, let me disabuse you of that.
Oh, yes.
Sony's a dickhead company. They're all dickhead companies. They may try and throw some colors on it and, dress it up in a hat and make it look friendly and maybe put a cute little character that runs across your screen. They're dickhead companies and they will be making profit any way that they see fit. That is what they do. So it does not surprise me, but that is kind of interesting that was the reason why Sony was so against opening up crossplay. And it also points up, is a bit of an explanation about why Microsoft was like, why aren't you doing crossplay, Sony?
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing because they probably knew and they wanted Sony to admit that the reason why they didn't want to do it is because they were using it as a profit center. That they knew that information, when it got out, would be a little bit like, wow, that's a dickhead thing to do. For they're dickhead companies. None of these dickhead companies want to be actually pointed out that they're being dickhead companies. The only company that does not care whether they're dicks or not is Activision and Blizzard.
Well,
they don't care that you think
Blizzard may be Activision.
You're gonna give them money anyway. We got you on the hook, baby. You're already addicted. Question is, how addicted?
But speaking of crossplay, and speaking of Destiny 2,
and
apparently
of dickhead companies.
apparently Bungie turned on crossplay by accident.
Which game?
For Destiny 2.
Oh, it was on Destiny 2.
And so they had previously said that crossplay would be coming in fall of this year for every platform. PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Series S, and Stadia. Everything would have crossplay. But apparently, Tom Warren of The Verge spotted that it went live, and he actually was able to load up a game with players on PC and Stadia and took video of it.
Oh, interesting. Who was that?
Tom Warren of The Verge. And so, yeah, apparently Bungie will be turning it off later this week. So at this point, it's probably no longer available because this was from May 11th that the Polygon article went up. Or the Verge article went up. But yeah, so accidentally turned on crossplay for everything and then realized, oh shit, and turned it off. Yeah, which is unfortunate for people on Stadia, since I imagine Stadia players could really, really use, the influx of people.
Yeah. In fact, I don't have any article about it, but Stadia wanted to alert you that Stadia is doing fine. Stadia is doing great. 100 new games.
Yeah, there was that Kotaku article that was like, Stadia shows everyone's doing fine as the water reaches their nose.
Yeah, it was I had to send that headline to Stadia. Come on. There we go. There's the article. One of the better headlines ever written at Kotaku.
Google says
says everything at Stadia is fine as the water reaches their noses.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're going to come out and say, yeah, we're fucked. They have to keep pretending.
Yeah.
And it's just, at this point, it's
I
kind
know,
of just
but
sad. It's just embarrassing.
You're better off saying nothing, Google. You really are. You're either deluding yourself. Speaking of delusions that you should be disaffected of, you're either living in your own Google flavored world that is not attached to reality, or you should just be quiet, because nothing that you can say right now is going to make this better. Except making Stadia better, but they're not going to do that.
What? No.
I guess I heard somebody was like, "Oh yeah, they remember they added like, ooh, we already added a search bar, woohoo!" Yeah. And then I guess somebody else, I can't remember who it was, said, "Yeah, I tried it. The search bar doesn't work very well." Like, come on, you're Google. How do you not have a good search bar? For fuck's sake! I mean, I don't know what's worse, not having a search bar or having one that doesn't work when you're fucking Google.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's oh yeah, AC Race says the reader and Google Plus souls have become angels who are leaving the Stadia souls to drown. Don't forget Google Play, which was a music locker service that I used, which was really good, that they then transitioned to YouTube Play, which fucking sucks. So yeah, that's another good Google service that they killed. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? There's like, was it the Google Graveyard website? I'm sure they already have a whole page that's already warmed up. It's kind of like you write obituaries for Hollywood people before they die. That's pretty much what's happened in Google Graveyard. They've already got that thing written. They're just waiting to make it go live.
Yeah.
Pope Simulator is the holiest game.
I did see something about Pope Simulator.
There's a Pope Simulator? I'm
Yeah.
interested. I'm interested in that. I love my sim games.
Yeah, you sit. I don't know. What else does the Pope do?
Thanks for breaking that down for us, Nick. Great review.
What does the Pope do? Honestly, I don't know anything about the game. I'm just assuming.
You know what? I am going to look up Pope Simulator. I'm going to play it this week.
Okay.
And I will let you know what a Pope does.
While you do that, I've got two other news stories, one of which is kind of small, one of which you'll probably care about a lot. In cool news, Ghost Runner is getting a sequel. That's the game I talked about a couple weeks ago. I'm still getting through it. It's just a super badass game. And it's good to know that it did well enough to justify a sequel because, yeah, it's good when good games do good.
I can't remember what Ghost Runner was.
That was the Cyberpunk Mirror's Edge meets Super Meat Boy game.
Oh, yes. Now that I see it, yes.
Yeah. It just feels good to cut people down. It feels good to restart. Compared to, all my complaining about failing in Outriders, this is a game where I died like 70 times in 20 minutes and like I didn't bat an eye. Like again,
really,
the whole thing, it just feels good because you restart instantly. The way you jump around, the way you kind of puzzle your way through these combat scenarios, the whole thing is just cool.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a fun game to watch as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is just like a guy playing it slowly. If you watch a speed run, those things are like impossible. They're magic to watch.
I'm looking one up right now.
So yeah, Ghost Runner is getting a sequel. That's cool.
Who makes it? Do you remember?
Oh no, it's just a small indie team. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. Oh, is this a speed run that we're watching?
Yep.
Okay, well, he needs to start running. That's a bad speed run if you die like that.
Obviously, it's not as much of a speed run as he'd like to think it is.
Yeah, I know there was one video I saw, and I don't remember exactly who it was, that was doing a speed run, and he was flying through the level at speeds I found like legit impossible.
All right, so next item.
Final news story is that Starfield is going to be a Microsoft exclusive. This was the big sci-fi Bethesda game coming out, and there were some rumors and reports that it would be an Xbox exclusive, but Jeff Grubb, I'm not quite sure who Jeff Grubb is, if he works at Bethesda or not. But basically, Jeff Grubb tweeted, "Starfield is exclusive to Xbox and PC, period." This is me confirming that.
Oh, all right. So it's officially a thing.
Yes.
Looking for any kind of net. We can just have the trailer. All right. Do we have a date on that, by the way?
No.
What was it that I heard? I heard, is it Google or is it Amazon? It's Google that's working on the MMO. Apparently that MMO is still going.
Oh, the New World?
Yeah, New World. That's it. So yeah, I mean, I'll play it with reservations. I'm probably not gonna play it day one. I can't believe I'm saying that about a Bethesda game, but I am.
So just Jeff Grubb is a journalist for VentureBeat.
Okay.
Just worth saying. So yeah. He says that Starfield is exclusive, which makes sense. And also, I don't think that changes our bet that what was the bet we made, that we wouldn't see Elder Scrolls 6 until like 2025? That was my bet, or did I say 26? I know I said like it would be
in the chat room.
Yeah, it would be like 5 years. And you were like, no, they're gonna rush it.
Yep. So, and Blood Reaper says lots of people are pissed about Starfield.
Probably Starfield
being Microsoft exclusive. Also remember that just because it's exclusive doesn't necessarily mean it's never coming to any other console.
Yeah, yes, it does.
PlayStation. You think so?
Does. Yes, absolutely.
That's true. They're owned, but
they're owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
The reason, what was it? Ghost Runner and Deathloop are still coming to PlayStation is because
previous existing contracts.
Yeah. Everything after that is like, nope, it's all going straight to Game Pass.
Yeah. And I would imagine, did they say that if Starfield, or has it already been confirmed that Starfield's coming to Game Pass?
It's a Microsoft exclusive, so it will.
Oh, that's right. They did say that they all
of their first party games go to Game Pass.
Game Pass is a good deal, dude. It really is. Although I will say this, I have gone on to Game Pass and I've downloaded a few games.
Yeah, I've downloaded some Game Pass games. Are like, really great. This isn't very good.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of crap games out there. I mean, if I don't play FIFA, I don't play MLB.
Okay, yeah.
So this is not like doing it for me just yet. I'm
like, are you looking for a Game Pass game?
Sort of.
I know there's one called Genesis Noir that I've heard is a very weird adventure game where you're kind of playing a noir detective, and you're basically going through the creation of the universe.
Genesis Noir sounds really good.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I did download it. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, that at least is a wild, weird thing that you might want to check out.
Okay. I will check that out. Anything else? That is all I got. This is a new record. Well, no, it's about right. About 15 minutes earlier. So what are you going to be playing this week? I'm going to go download right now Genesis Noir and Pope Simulator.
No, what you should do is download Titanfall 2 on Game Pass. Because it's on Game Pass.
Really?
It is. It is. It's an EA
I know.
game.
I'm not that I believe. It's like, should I really play a what 4-year-old game?
If you want to play
3-year-old
a good
game?
shooter campaign, play Titanfall 2.
All right, I'll do that too. But I think I'm going to play. I promised Pope Simulator for next week.
Okay, yeah, you can do that.
I live up to my promises. So, and honestly, that Genesis Noir sounds really cool. But if I don't like it,
I do want to play it.
Then if I don't like it, then I'll just jump on to something else.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of Game Pass. And I know someone.
And AC Ray did mention that Mass Effect Legacy released, and I'm.
Oh yeah.
Sort of interested in it. I'm a little still bitter about Mass Effect.
Yeah, so I did kind of want to ask you about that. Like, what is your feeling toward Mass Effect? Because I think what I've realized is with the Legendary Edition coming out, I feel like my opinion of it has dropped considerably.
Yeah.
And I wonder if like I'll still think about Game of Thrones in the same way. Well, like Game of Thrones, it had a very bad ending, but it also had a lot of seasons that were like really, really great. Like really great TV with a bad ending. And I wonder, like, is Mass Effect the same? Like, was it really a great game with a bad ending? And I just, over the years, I've forgotten the good parts. And like at this point, I
think that Mass Effect 1 was superlative to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect 2 was almost as good. Mass Effect 3 was not that great, and Andromeda was awful. So I think that if there had been a I'm trying to what's the good Star Wars movie?
Like any of the original trilogy.
Right, no, but like there was A New Hope, and then there was
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back was like so everybody loved it so much more than the first one. They're like, yes, it's even better. It's if there had been that like, oh, we're starting strong, we're gaining speed, and then we're kind of coming down, I probably wouldn't feel quite so bitter. I am the fact that it started high and was just a slow drive deep into the ground, past the crust of the earth, into the center and blowing up. That I think has made me very bitter about the game. I still love I know I'm like all of like 4 people on the earth that actually loved the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3. But so I have a soft spot for it. But as far as the campaign is concerned, if I was ever going to play a Mass Effect game again, I would just play 1 and just stop there. That was just that game was so good. Well, it's much like, dare I say, Dragon Age. Origins was, in fact, I pulled up Origins the other day and started to try and play it again.
You know what? I think you can play it on Game Pass.
You can. That's why I downloaded it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it does not hold up. It really doesn't.
What?
Yeah, no. As soon as I started it, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do this again.
I don't believe that. That game.
The first, I would say 5 hours of it, 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours of it is really hard when you're, it's essentially sending you through the tutorial, and it's a very long tutorial if you look at it from a functional process. That first section was really a slog. to get to the point of where you're actually playing the game. And as soon as I started it, I'm like, oh God, oh, I remember I hated this part. And I feel like, well, I'm glad that it's been remastered. I mean, it's like a legacy collection. So they've obviously gone in and tightened it up and neatened it up. But as soon as I launched Dragon Age, it was like, I liked it better in my memory. It was much better there. Like, the graphics are just so bad and the mechanics are so bad and it just feels so clunky. And it's like,
Now you kind of make me want to go back and try it just to see.
Yeah, go ahead, give it a shot. But it'll immediately become apparent that it was like, oh, it was way better in my memory.
But the thing is, like, even if it was clunky, the characters and the story and all of that were the best.
But it takes you a long, long time to get to those characters and story. You have to go through that. It depends on what you start off with, whether you start off as a mage or whether you start off as a rogue, and what your background is, and it's a different origin story. But that initial like big fight that you had to fight is tough, to say the least.
That's right, because if I remember, there was like your race-specific origin story, and then you got into kind of the prologue. That was the prologue. Then you got into the beginning of you being the Grey Warden, and like that kind of whole debacle. And then once that happened, then you kind of got into the actual story. Yeah,
right, exactly.
So it's these two levels of
5 to 10 hours of play, depending on
okay, I believe that.
You kind of gotta weather before you can get into the story again. Although, I really thinking again, I really should go into being a dwarf. I never was a dwarf. I never chose that. I could go back and play dwarf, but I'd have to play through that initial Grey Warden, get through being a Grey Warden and all the Grey Wardens getting killed. Spoiler alert, all the Grey Wardens die except you.
It's the prologue, 10 hours in.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if you timed out the prologue of Dragon Age Origins and compared it to the prologue of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I think Origins is longer.
Okay. Interesting.
If you think about it, it's just the difference is they just didn't run the credits.
Yeah, they just didn't have a late title card.
Right. So, AC Ray says, I'm kind of miffed about the lack of romance options for the lesbian I will create. Andromeda had few options overall, but they were diverse. Yes, there was that. Well, and actually, the same thing with
Dragon Age
3.
Oh,
Mass Effect 3 had options, diverse options. You could romance a lizard. And there was also lesbian options as well. There was the Jessica Chobot character that you could sex up. There was Jack. And I believe Samantha. No, Samantha was straight.
I think 3 was the only game that actually had a gay romance, though. Like male and male. I don't think 1 or 2 had that option.
No, not true. Not true. Who was the girl? Oh, I can't believe I can't remember her name. The girl with the helmet head. Liara was available for females.
Yeah, like you could have a lesbian romance.
Right.
But you couldn't have a male homosexual romance.
Was there no male homosexual romance in 1 and 2? Really? I will have to look that up. That seems
I'm pretty
like
sure.
An oversight. I can't believe I never even thought about that until you just mentioned it.
Yeah, because I think they made a point of like promoting that with 3 of like, hey, look, we got this time.
Yeah. AC Wraith also makes a good point. He says Andromeda was a perfectly fine game if it had not been Mass Effect. It was not a perfectly fine game. It was a fine game. Yeah, but the fact that it was a Mass Effect game really set it up for failure. 2 has Jack, but Jack is female. I mean, biologically female. Talking about gay male romance. There we go. There you go. There's the list. EC Wraith with the link, because that's what he does. He is the god that way. All right, so you go play Dragon Age Origins. You go play Dragon Age Origins. You know, just dive into it. It'll only take you an hour before you realize, oh yeah, this is a bad idea. And I will dive into
Titanfall 2.
I'll play Titanfall 2.
I just said it, like if you're looking for a shooter campaign. If you're looking for a shooter campaign, like I can't recommend that game enough. But like that, if that's what you're looking for.
I don't know that I've got. I'm not craving just that yet.
Then like don't force it.
I'm really craving an RPG. I'm not gonna lie. I'm craving an RPG. Do you know how long it has been since I have had a real good RPG?
Like one thing I downloaded.
Years.
Andrew had talked about Wasteland 3 a couple weeks ago, and that is on Game Pass, and I downloaded it but didn't play it. So, you know, if you're looking for an RPG that has, you know, a low bar to entry, you might want to check it out just because no harm.
Yeah, possible. I just really want a good AAA RPG with romance options and an interesting story. I just want
a fucking amazing RPG game. Why can't you just give me a perfect, awesome RPG game?
The last time I had that itch scratched was Spider's game.
Greedfall?
Greedfall. That's the last time I've had that itch scratched, and that itch is very, very itchy right now. I need a good escapist story where I, feel agency with that character. Because Assassin's Creed is a RPG, but I don't feel like I have a lot of agency with her, and I'm playing her.
Not really an RPG.
Yeah, that's not its intent. It's not. You're not supposed to. You don't feel like this like attachment to that character, the way that BioWare can make you attached to a character, and they haven't had that in a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's got another one recommended. Enderal, Forgotten Stories. I will give that a shot as well. Yeah, honestly, it's all just like you're trying to give me, fake cannabis and suggestions like, have you tried huffing glue? It's like, look, I just need some heroin. Just give me my drug. And I get it, like if I'm jonesing, I'm jonesing.
Oh God, this weed is just it's not the same. It's not as strong. It's a sad imitation.
I could try some pills. I can try some weed, maybe have some glue, maybe spin around until I turn dizzy, but it's just not heroin. I need my drug.
You need your heroin. Okay. Because see, there's a lot of RPGs I could recommend, but knowing you, like, you're probably not interested in Octopath Traveler or
I've actually
Crosscode.
thought about Octopath Traveler. Yeah.
Okay.
I might do that, but it doesn't do that same thing. It doesn't have that you don't feel part of it.
I know that it doesn't have the characters that you're looking for.
It's got to be character driven. It's got to be character driven.
Okay, let's see. I'm on Best RPG on Game Pass, a question on Reddit from 2 months ago. Someone says Dragon Quest 11. Is The Witcher 3 still on Game Pass? I think
I've already played The
left.
Witcher. I know. Well, actually, I didn't even finish The Witcher, so I mean, I guess I can't
You
complain.
go, literally all the Bethesda games. Go back and play Morrowind or Oblivion. Someone said Wasteland 3.
Yeah.
Pillars of Eternity. Dragon Quest. Someone says Neo Automata, but I didn't think Automata was that good.
No, it's Automata. And I know that because I talked to the developer. How do you say near? And it's Automata.
Neo Automata.
No, it's near Automata.
Neo Automata Mata.
No, near Automata.
Automata.
Shut up. Fuck you.
Neo Automata.
Onomatopoeia.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the Outer Worlds. Did you play the Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds.
That's the corporate dystopia one.
No, I have not played that one. I tried all Outer Wilds. Oh, two games that should not have come out near each other. Good Lord.
That one might scratch it. It's just kind of more Fallout-esque.
Yeah, all right.
Maybe.
There's always things I can do.
Yeah.
So I have to pee. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we close out the show, sir?
No.
You just want my bladder to explode.
I'm just looking to see. Is there anything? No, I'm just gonna spend the week playing some Nautica, maybe some Dragon Age, and looking for air purifiers.
Okay. On that note, let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 594. We recorded this on Sunday, May 16th, 2021. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola. Ways to get a hold of us. Our website is gamehounds.net is our website. Our email is gamehounds@gmail.com. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Twitch. On Twitter, and we are at GameHounds. On Facebook and Twitch, we are the GameHounds. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. That's where we have our audio stream. You can join us in the audio stream live. Send us a message. We are absolutely in there and watching it. AC Wraith, of course, is always monitoring because he's everywhere. He's like Santa Claus. But if you want to watch the video stream, our video stream is at Twitch. It is at Facebook, and it is at YouTube. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids. That's VIDS as in videos. On Facebook and Twitch, we are the GameHounds. Join us live in the chat rooms at both of those shows. You can actually see what we're talking about. You can see examples of the games that we're talking about. You know, you're here. By the way, thank you to everyone in the chat room. Every one of our Patreons, our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. You are funding the video feed. Were it not for you, we would not be here. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for your donations and your patronage. You keep this video alive. If you would like to be a patron, please go to patreon.com/GameHounds and join up. Also, I do want to remind you that we do have a Discord. The Discord link is in, you can find it on the top of the Facebook page. Go to The GameHounds on Facebook and you will find our page. There is a Discord link. Nick and I are in there. I'm always kind of cruising it regularly. Nick, not so much, but we have tons and tons of people that are all of our GameHounds Nation are all there. So join us there in Discord. We will talk to you next week here on GameHounds. Don't forget, Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, right here where you're watching us. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye. Waiting for the music to play out. That's what we do at the end of the show. And we're out.
I'm also looking like, not only do I have to look at the air filter, but it's like, what is the replacement filter?
You won't need the replacement filter for another year. So you can wait for that. It depends on how much money you want to spend. All right, guys.
Okay.
Mama's got to pee. Mama's got to pee bad. So everybody, thank you so much for being here in the chat room. To AC Wraith, of course, who's providing all of our links. By the way, yeah, he does this. He is a god. AC Wraith, every single thing we mention here, he puts it to Facebook, he puts it to YouTube, he puts it to Twitch, and he also, which you don't see, puts it to the Spreaker account. The man is a link fiend, and you are so appreciated for what you do. Also to Blood Reaper, who has been pretty much holding down our Discord channel, providing news and links, by the way, in the Discord channel, in case you are interested.
I got a bunch of them from him too.
Right. If there is a channel that is news tips, if there is something that you see that's in the news that you want us to say something about during a show, you can drop it into that news tips, and Nick uses it, I use it, Andrew uses it for tips, for ideas of things to talk about in the news during the show, or interesting things we see. I mean, we posted a bunch of stuff from at the beginning of the show. So if you want to be essentially part of the show, drop it into the news tips on Discord. That is the link right there. See that?
I think
right
that's
there?
where you can find. That's where you can find Pope Simulator.
Good, and I will look that up today. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching us. We will be back here next week, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everyone.
Yep.
Don't forget to hit the like button, like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button, babies. Turn that thumb blue. See y'all later. Bye.